All right, welcome to our session. My name is Nicole Wingate. I'm a speech language pathologist.
And I'm Angie Sheets. I'm an intense interventions teacher. We're not sure if you just heard that announcement or not. We're at school right now, and our secretary just put a bus announcement on. So sorry if you're getting our school announcements along with this. So this is obviously real life here.
But we're excited to share with you our amazing race and our journey that we're on in achieving better communication, collaboration, and core vocabulary that meet the needs of all of our students. Knowing that we've had just annual case reviews, we've had ISTEP testing, NWA, iReady, STAR, whatever those standardized assessments that you do, it often feels like that we're in this race against time. And given our student population, it's an amazing race. The destination, the course, the roadblocks and obstacles, the detours are all part of our journey through communication, collaboration, core vocabulary. But we're going to show you a quick trailer video.
Before we get started, we do have a poll for you guys. If you can just let us know what areas you're representing here. I can switch it over. All right. Gonna give us an idea who our audience is today. If you can just click what your primary role is, that would be great. Got a couple others coming in here. Thanks for being patient with us. Looks like we've got a lot of AT people, some SLPs, awesome. Well, welcome. And please feel free to ask questions as we're going through. We are just real people in the public schools doing our job, and we're just going to share our journey today. So we're going to go ahead to the results here, see who we've got joining us. Perfect. All right, guys, we're going to move ahead and get started.
So this is our amazing race team. Like I said, myself, Nicole Wingate, speech therapist.
And Angie Sheets, the special education teacher.
And then I also have two speech assistants that have been on this journey with us.
This is just an introductory video.
So along this journey, we knew that our students had great potential, but we were not accessing it. A lot of our roadblocks included time, experience, training, funding, and support from administration, or so we thought.
Hi, I'm Wayne Barker. I'm Superintendent of Schools for Bluffton-Harrison Metropolitan School District here in Bluffton, Indiana. For me, I've always appreciated those opportunities to go into the classroom because it's not an area that I consider myself an expert in any way. And for me, it's exciting to go in and see students who have such great challenges and see our employees who are able to get information from them to show that they're able to learn, to show how they can communicate, and how desperately they want to show that they can learn and communicate. So for me, it's been important to go there and see what our teachers are doing, what our aides are doing, and you can't go there and not have a huge appreciation for what those folks are doing every day with those students. I think that's so important. I think that our students, regardless of what their abilities are, want to show that they're capable of learning. They want to show that they're smart. Everyone has that need to show that they know something and that they have value. And for me, in just trying in my small way to support our folks who actually work with these students, is trying to find ways to say yes to what they need. Because these students need more opportunities, they need devices, they need different things to be able to show what they know. And to do that, they have to be able to communicate in some way. And if they're non-communicative, we have to do what we can to assist them so that they can communicate and show value in learning. I would just encourage other administrators to go to those rooms, learn who those students are, learn how they're gifted, the people that work in those rooms, to be able to have a servant's heart to serve in that way. I often think of the Bible verse, whatever you do for the least of these, you do for me. And for me, people who serve in rooms that have students with intense interventions and that have so many other physical challenges in their lives, it's been important for me to go there. It's been important for me to see that. It's been important for me to see those students learn. And as a result of doing that, which has been quite honestly very uncomfortable for me at times to be in those rooms, because it's not my area of expertise, it's not something that I know, but it's always been good. I leave there feeling good about those kids, I feel good about the employees that we have working in there, and I learn something every time. And it's as important for me to go there as it is to a high school physics class. And quite honestly, I would rather go there than a high school physics class. Those students need us more. They need more resources, they need more people supporting them, and I feel a responsibility to support our people who are trying to work with those students, because they just absolutely need us more, and we need to do more for them.
So gaining that administrative support was crucial to helping us overcome our roadblocks. And I'm going to tell you just a quick little story here. I came on staff about 5 years ago, and since then, the students within our district and within Mrs. Sheets' intensive interventions classroom have changed. Most of her students used to be pretty verbal and had functional communication, and then over the past few years, they have changed to pretty much nonverbal. And so we felt like we needed to do something. And neither one of us really had tons of experience with assistive technology and high-tech AAC solutions. So there was an opportunity that came about where we could host a LAMP training. And so another speech therapist and we presented to a board of 6 school superintendents, our director of special education, and our assistant directors of special education through a board meeting, because at that time we belonged to a co-op, so we serviced 6 different school districts. So we presented this idea to them, we'd like to host this training free of charge. We would get 10 free spots. We could also have some parents come, and we were pretty immediately shot down. And one of the biggest reasons was the money factor. Not all of our schools were one-to-one iPads at that time, and so they wanted to know about the cost. How much is it going to cost for us to have an iPad? How much is this app going to cost? And what I tried to get through to them was, it doesn't matter what this costs. If this isn't what we choose, we're just asking to gain more knowledge so that we know have another option for AAC for our students. If we don't do this, there's going to be a cost somewhere else, because it's our legal obligation to provide these students with some form of communication. And right now they have nothing, so we need to give them something. And that didn't matter. I was just talking to a wall. So it was very discouraging. In fact, we both walked out to the parking lot and started bawling. We're like, oh my goodness, this just didn't go the way we thought it was going to go. So I came back, and Mr. Barker, our superintendent, came into my room, and he said, hey, just because they all said no doesn't mean that I'm going to say no. If you really feel like this would be a good training and our students would benefit, I'm on board if we want to host this training here at Bluffton. So that's what we did. We were able to host that training, and that helped jumpstart our AAC journey. Another crucial point, though, in getting your administration on board is to invite them into your classroom. I know it can be uncomfortable or intimidating, but if they don't see the students and they don't see their strengths and their weaknesses and their challenges, they're not going to know when we go to submit something for purchase for these students, really putting a face to a name or a number. And a lot of times, you ask them and they may not come. So you just keep asking, because eventually if you keep asking, they're going to say yes and they're going to come in and into the classroom. But also creating opportunities, and we'll get into that a little bit later, of activities that the kids and the students are involved in, whether it's some sort of Thanksgiving feast or carnival or whatnot, so that other teachers are coming as well as the administrators. And then we also just were very honest with our administrators about our goals and what our strengths and our weaknesses were and what's best for our students.
So once we finally had that buy-in from our administrators, we really had to challenge ourselves. We were really just fresh in this game as well, and we really hadn't had our hands on many devices or had many trainings as far as what direction we were going to go in. So our administrators joined our communication team, and we were able to reach out to additional agencies and services. And we knew that this mission was much bigger than the services that we had available in our building and in our community. So we reached out to our state lending library, Patton's, our Easter Seals ARC, and our special services cooperatives that were extremely important in helping us gain those devices to actually trial and getting devices into the hands of our students and our staff so that we can learn how to model, learn how to learn again with these devices in our midst. So, as Nicole had mentioned, we went to the LAMP training, and as that added perk, we had some free spots to try and train our staff, which was so helpful. But I just cannot emphasize enough the importance of getting a variety of devices in your hands, reaching out to those other agencies, because if they have devices, they probably also have expertise in that area as well that they might be able to lend you. So making that intersection between where you are and all of those other services and support centers in your area is critical in the journey development. All right, once we have those devices in our hands and in our students' hands, figuring out how to use them effectively is key. Collaboration is so important in making the journey go more quickly and more smoothly also. Being able to utilize the experiences and expertise of all the staff is critical, and easing the burden and, diversifying the instruction. Prior to this journey, our assistive tech consultant was someone who I rarely called upon, quite honestly. And once we began this journey, I called on him frequently. I wanted him in my classroom. I wanted him working with my students and my staff. He needed to experience our daily schedules. How could I expect him to guide us if he really didn't know us? So we called in all of the backup, and we got everyone on board, and it truly takes a village to make that change. Additionally, your parents are such an important role, such an important part of the team. We invited our participating students' parents to the LAMP training so they too could be part of the team and incorporate more communication at home. This slide shows a picture of one of our students' Facebook pages. Her dad does a blog on Facebook. And you can see, I'll read it to you just in case you can. It says, Josie went to the doc on Friday and was given a steroid shot, and she was not happy about it, but she does seem to be getting better. I had the opportunity to attend a workshop at Josie's school about a communication strategy called LAMP. Josie's team sought out this opportunity a while back with Josie and a few other students in the school system in mind. I'm ecstatic that they are always looking for ways to make Jo's life better. It's such a blessing to have an entire team of people out for her best interests. The strategy, coupled with an app, called Words for Life, and advice from PRC is a huge opportunity for our kiddos. They've been working with Jo, and now she'll get a loaner to use while we go through the approval process to get her device. And then the picture to the left was the day that her device arrived. I just want to make sure you know, too, this is not a commercial for PRC or for Lance. This was a strategy that we started with, and now we're building upon. But it was our starting point, and it really was a successful starting point for our school. But having those parents incorporated in whatever strategy or whatever device you're looking at is crucial. Our students don't live at school, so we have to give them the techniques that they need to be functional in their homes as well, and that means training parents also. All right. Our route info, guiding us on the journey. That first part, we're always guided by those IEP goals. We know that that's the law, that's the driving force, and that's so important because our committee, we are looking through those student present levels and driving us where we need to go next. Additionally, we're here in Indiana, so we are building off of our standards and our content connectors and those evidence-based practices. We were fortunate to have Christy Laughlin working with us from the Indiana Resource Center on Autism, and she helped us dive into those evidence-based practices, which enticed us to really start exploring technology at a deeper level.
All right, so we're going to go through a few cases here and seeing Josie, but she began her amazing race with us in the fall of 2014 as a first grader. She has a significant medical history, stroke, seizures, the George syndrome. She was not yet toilet trained. She was tube fed, and she used primarily gestures and vocalizations for communication. And when I first started working with Josie, I could immediately tell that she had that shared enjoyment and that social engagement piece, and there was so much more that she wanted to be able to tell us. Some of the no-tech options that we trialed with Josie were the PECS, Picture Exchange Communication System. She did some sign language, and she also used some gestures. A low-tech option that we were also utilized with Josie was the GoTalk 9 with the page-based system, and she could use that quite well. And then we did trial the Words for Life with her, and this really did just open up a whole new opportunity for her. And we'll get into that. Do you want to show a quick?
Yep.
Yes.
We might have to cut the trip short here.
Oh, Mike.
Hello there. Wow, there you are, ma'am. You are.
So that was just a quick video. We did a Halloween activity. A lot of times our students don't get the chance to really go trick-or-treating, or it's very high sensory for them. And this was shortly after she received her device, and it was just awesome. It was the first time she ever said trick-or-treat. So just also creating those opportunities for our students to use communication. But now to see Josie academically, I mean, you'll see a little bit later on how she is now reading, participating in her general ed classroom. All right, our second student is Eili, and he began his amazing race at Bluffton in the fall of 2013 as a kindergarten student. He also has significant medical history, mitochondrial disorder, cerebral palsy, and respiratory distress syndrome. He's non-ambulatory with fluctuating tone, nonverbal, and a feeding tube. And poor Eili here, you're going to see we have tried all sorts of no-tech, low-tech, and high-tech systems for him. Eili understands everything you're saying to him, and it's just finding that right piece for him to be able to communicate. As you can see on the upper right, we had a wooden frame with a dowel rod and flips posted so that he could touch whichever picture that he was choosing. And then we upgraded from the dowel rod to the PVC pipe in the lower left with the 2 clips, and then we had 3 clips, and then we added 4 clips so that he had multiple choices. We also tried an eye gaze board with Eili, and then recently we've been doing SAPOD with Eili as well with that partner-assisted scanning.
He's been a real trooper, though. He's endured a lot that
Oh
he's
my
been
goodness.
through, and he's been so great at letting us try new pieces with him.
Yes. Some low-tech options for Eili. We use the Big Mac switches. We also use the head switches with him to activate a toy or participate in a cooking activity or just to have some pre-recorded messages. We also he's in the stander with an ACE
The knee wrap.
With a huge Q-tip pencil
Q-tip.
wrapped in foil to trial some head pointing with the iPad.
Obviously, we are DIYers.
That's right. And then some high-tech solutions with Eili. We have tried Eagle Eye. We've utilized the Makey. We've used a core scanner with the switches. We've looked at New Eye. We've looked at some high-tech eye gaze, also some Lamports for Life, partner-assisted scanning. So we really are just not stopping until we find the right thing for him, and we're still not there yet. But we also, you can kind of see in this picture here, out in his wheelchair, he's kind of leaning back a little bit, and we've recently gotten some training and some guidance and some access and mobility, and boy, that is huge. So we are right now trialing a motorized wheelchair, power chair for Eili, and he has a head array that he is using to power that chair, and we're also hoping that head array could either also be used with some switch scanning, or we may go back now, and once he is in this different position and his core is stabilized, to go ahead and try that eye gaze again, the high-tech eye gaze, and see if we can't get more consistent response there. So just some exciting things for Eili.
His parents, so their comment is, thanks for never stopping. Thanks for always looking for that next best thing that may work for our son.
So if you're watching and you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment or email, because we're willing to try anything. Okay, we have another case study here, and his amazing race began at Bluffton in the fall of 2012 as a 3-year-old with autism spectrum disorder. He was nonverbal, intense sensory needs. He was not yet toilet trained. When I talk about intense sensory needs, I mean this is the little guy who would run around the room, screaming, banging doors, head banging, the whole gamut. Some no-tech options that we used with him were picture exchange communication. We also did some verbal behavior. He used gestures, some sign language. He loved letter tiles and magnets. And he picked up on the PEX exchange communication system pretty quickly. And then we did some low-tech options. We used Big Mac switch. We used an iSpeech app, and then also some typing. So one day, Damien was leaning over Angie while she was typing on her laptop, and he's very intrigued with what she was doing. He's intrigued with letters and numbers. So she decided to type to him. She just opened up a quick Word document and typed out, "What is your name?" And while leaning over her shoulders, he typed his first and last name. And it was at that point that we began to figure out that he had more language skills than we gave him credit for. So he began typing full sentences with correct spelling and punctuation. And that was a big aha moment for me, because I had him as a preschool student, and I was doing lots of verbal behavior with him, commanding, and just didn't give him the benefit of the doubt and did not presume competence with him. And so that was a big lesson for me. And now I presume competence with all my students because they deserve those high expectations. And most of the time when I have done presumed competence, they have exceeded my expectations and have just blown my socks off. So high tech with this little guy, oh my goodness, he utilized Lampwords for Life right away. I mean, he had that thing memorized and could utilize it better than we could. And then once we had started implementing that with him, his verbal speech started to come. Now, you couldn't always understand everything he was saying, but he started using lots more verbal speech, and also he started reading aloud.
All right. So once we had some tools in our hands and we were training our staff and we were looking ahead at what's next, we went to that route info. So we made a list of the first 50 words that were required by the toddlers. That we were, going back to that research, finding those core word lists. And every week we posted a core word of the week. We brainstormed how we could use that word in various settings and across environments. And then we would make a presentation on a Google slide showing what the icon looks like. What book can we use for the core word? How can it be used at recess or at playtime or at lunch or at snack? And sometimes we even make a video about how the word is used and incorporate other staff members throughout the building. Our students love these videos. They love seeing themselves in the videos. They love seeing their school in the videos. They love seeing their peers and their teachers. So these core word videos have become a huge hit with our students and a great way to actually video model. Our goal is to inform others on how to create multiple opportunities for students to use this core word and throughout the week. So we share these videos out there on our YouTube channel, and families have access to them. Our staff has access to them as well. So we're going to show you an example here of what our slide presentations look like when we're targeting a specific core word of the week, and I believe also there's a video that gives you an example of what our core videos look like. So I'm going to slide on over here. Let's take a look. This is just our intro slide. This week we were targeting open and shut together, the opposites there. And for the open and shut pieces, this just gives you an idea of what that icon might look like. We realize it's not always about the icon, but eventually developing that motor plan as well. But we found that using the visual supports also helps our staff really determine where to locate those words also. Additionally, then we include the map too. So it's circled where you can find the words if they're one-hit or two-hit words. And once again, we found that this is very helpful for our staff. And we move on to those activity pieces, and we're continually adding to these. This is just our beginning stages, and when we're looking at what are the basic pieces, what are the easiest pieces to integrate, because we got to start something easy or we'll never do it. So we start with those easy pieces of how we can integrate those words into our daily activities, and then we started building it into our academic functions as well. We also include a QR code that leads to a Google form. We typically use Google Forms to help us collect data on many occasions. So we make QR codes that link directly to our Google Forms to help all of our staff be able to access those data forms quickly and easily. Okay. All right. It looks like our video might be missing here, but I will tell you that you can access our YouTube channel on any our YouTube channel is at Wings Works. So if you just go into YouTube and Google Wings Works, search for Wings Works in the YouTube channel, you can find all of our core videos there. And I believe there's also a link possibly at the end of our slide, so we will get you that. All right. So I mentioned our QR codes that we use for data collection, and you can see an example of the Google form over to the right. So it's very simple. We want to make sure it's quick and easy, something simple for our assistants as well as any of our other staff or general ed teachers to be able to access and utilize. So for the QR codes too, just a tip, some of my assistants keep a QR code. We wear lanyards, so they will tape that QR code onto the back of the lanyard so they have it whenever they need it, so it's easily accessible. Also on the left, you see there is this full page that is broken into quadrants, and those are actually labels, right?
Yes.
Sticky labels. So Nicole devised these labels that they can just peel off and stick them to their legs, because when we are teaching vocabulary, it is go and show, and we are on the move, and we are running to a million different places, pretty much chasing after kiddos too, and trying to be purposeful in our implementation, but trying to take data on the run. So being able to stick those data sheets right onto our leg means that we're not losing them, and it's super easy too to just take some data real quick there, jot down what words was the student using independently, what kind of prompting did they need, did they say any of those words verbally, any other words that they might have utilized as well. So simple, easy, and quick. All right. Continuing on with our route info, I mentioned a little bit about incorporating those core vocabulary words into our daily implementation of the curriculum. And here in Indiana, we are just recently bought into the content connectors. So we're learning more and more about how to break down those state standards into more consumable pieces that our students can access easily, and it makes it a little more accommodating when we're looking at integrating those devices into the curriculum. So the pieces that we use are still a lot of homemade pieces, but we're also utilizing the Equals math program as well. So when I'm looking at each of those lessons and at each of those standards, I'm trying to figure out which words make the most sense to incorporate with that lesson. And with that, I'm looking at that descriptive teaching model. I know that my students may not have direct access on their devices to words like area or perimeter, or they probably do have access, but it may be a 2 or a 3 or a 4-hit word. So I'm trying to come up with what are descriptive means that I can ask for my students to share and model for them so that they are able to be active participants in the lesson. So at the top right, we're looking at actually it's a greater than, less than lesson. But a core word that fits with that is the word more. Which side has more? That's an easy core word that they're going to utilize in multiple different settings and multiple different conversations, but is very applicable to the math lesson that we are working on. What we found also as we were really pushing forward with the communication pieces is we found out that there were lots of other assistive technology pieces out there that we were not accessing to help our students as they were working towards their classroom academic pieces. So beyond the communication, we were looking at computation supports. We were looking at written language supports. And so diving into this communication piece really led us on a journey to exploring other means of assistive technology as well. I've got a quick little video of a guy here. Actually, this is my son, so I'm bragging on him. But this app really helped him a lot. This was called ModMath. I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but it easily lines up the columns for our kiddos. I'm going to go ahead and show you ModMath in action here.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Move over your column. Move your column.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Move it in your answer line. Good job. Cheese.
So you can see that the assistive technology industry is just booming, and just diving in and taking a look, asking those questions, getting to know those vendors. They have so much to offer and so much to give. So I highly recommend just jumping in. We were very novice in the beginning, and making those connections and gaining those resources has been powerful for more than just the students that we're serving in our intense intervention setting. So looking at those options is super important. All right, just a couple other quick tips here when we're looking at utilizing the curriculum with our students and making those academic demands as well as the communication demands and kind of incorporating and intertwining those two together. Manipulate your manipulatives to urge those communication pieces. So put your manipulatives in boxes that your students are going to have to ask you to open, or put them in cabinets that are locked so they're going to have to request your help to get to those pieces as well. The picture on the right is one of my all-time favorite pictures. It's a little hard to see, but one of my students is he's at the back of the group, and he is holding his lamp iPad. He is communicating there. The other 4 students that are surrounding him are all general education students who have abandoned their own iPads on the floor because they want to see what he's doing. They want to see what he has to say. So having that integration opportunity is amazing for both our students who are utilizing assistive technology as well as our students who are not, powerful. It's very powerful. I've got, this is Damien that we had highlighted earlier, and he, at that point, and Nicole had mentioned that we had underestimated his capabilities. This is a short video of him participating in a math exercise.
Yes, nice job, Damien. Nice job. Keep going. One more. Yes, nice job.
I know that video was a little sketchy there. Sorry about that. This little guy, though, I don't know if you could tell in the video or not, but he was continuously looking up. Handwriting is a challenge for him, so he was continuously looking up to make sure that assistant who was working with him was writing down the correct numbers. And we were so pleased that he was even interested and engaging in that task and fully participating. This wouldn't have happened prior to introducing the technology to this young man. All right, we are looking at route info for language arts. I've been floored by what my students have been able to do as far as reading and sight word identification and comprehension and building their vocabularies and written language. Prior to implementing the technology, I was seriously working on matching socks, and we were sorting silverware, and we were doing all those life skills that I was taught to do in college. So it was a big shift for me and a big challenge for me, because when I was in college, I only had one class in teaching students to read, and I had one class in teaching students to write, because we were encouraged to really focus on those life skills techniques and those life skills that we thought that was the most important to our young students. I still have an emphasis on life skills, but I feel like I have an even greater emphasis, though, on those basic academic skills because of the growth and because of the celebrations that we've seen in our students. I also realized, too, that our students, those life skills are important, but we also have community and state and federal resources that are available to our students in this day and age that weren't available to us when I was back in college. So helping our parents find those resources makes it easier for us to feel good about implementing those academic pieces without totally neglecting or negating the need for the life skills as well. But my tips for integrating the technology and the core vocabulary are choosing books and passages that lend themselves to core vocabulary, lines that can be repeated and predictable in sequencing. I really like to utilize those and read to self or read to someone else. And when I am doing story time, I really like to have more interactive pieces. And I also like to introduce my students to a little more complex literature at this point. I never, ever would have thought you would hear me say that, but it's true. My students are ready for it, and we are diving into comparing fairy tales, and it's been a phenomenal experience. An important part of it, though, is repeat, 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 to give students that practice to utilize those keywords. The repeating is also super helpful when you're training your assistants and your paraprofessionals or your related service staff. Many times I feel like the modeling is just as important for the adults in the classroom as it is for the children in the classroom. I'm a diehard Edmark girl. That's what I started with. That's what I know. I realize that Edmark is not a literacy program or a language arts program specifically. It is a sight word acquisition piece. But many of our core vocabulary words are in the Edmark program, and Edmark does lend itself to that spiral review, which is great to helping our students develop that motor plan. Also, it really ties in nicely. And the AbleNet people also are offering the Meeville to Weevil piece, which is more of a comprehensive literacy and communication curriculum. So, see, we've got a couple examples of some of our students. I've got one of our young ladies here reading with her device. Oh, we've got an upside down video of a young lady reading.
When you're finished, click on the words to continue.
Airplane. Keep going. Good job.
When you're finished, click on the words to continue.
Good job.
Find the pictures that go. You're right. Read the blue words and find the picture. To continue, click on the green arrow.
So even in upside down mode, I think you can still tell that this young lady has word-to-word correspondence. She's also engaged in the reading process. She has directionality. She has comprehension. She's able to make a selection between choices. These are all pieces that we didn't know she knew. So amazing and exciting, and she has just continued to move forward. She's been an inspiration to us and a challenge to us also as we're seeking, okay, what's the next step? Okay, what do we need to keep building on? Okay, where do we go next? So your students are going to challenge you.
And I just have to say, with this little girl, her whole personality just exploded. She has become so much more confident, and she will now protest and be a little sassy. And just a couple of weeks ago, we were working on the word under, and so we were doing the limbo. So we had the limbo, and I'm like, come on over here and do the limbo with us. And so she used her device to say, you should. And I was like, wait, what? Did you just say you should? Like, I didn't teach her the word should. So I waited a few more minutes, and I'm like, okay, come on over. Again, she did the same thing, and I was like, oh, no, she's for real. She is being a little sassy, but what a celebration. I mean, she used it in the appropriate context, and it was just such a great and social engagement piece there.
I'm going to stop for just a second to answer a question here. Sorry, guys, I'm not able to type into the response box, but there was a question about our YouTube channel, and the name of our YouTube channel is Wingsworks, WINGS, WORKS, Wingsworks.
No spaces.
And we have no idea how that name actually originated. It was from a committee at our school, and one thing just led to another, and so our YouTube's name is Wingsworks. All right. I've got another demonstration of, Nicole had mentioned our young man who, in the very beginning, was so sensory-seeking. He's the one who would jump off the tables and throw himself into a wall, and he's the one who reached over my shoulders and started typing his name. And one thing led to another, and he was finding himself integrated into his general education classroom more and more and more, and working on grade-level curriculum pieces. And the assistive technology is what has made that possible, as well as the staff supporting the integration there.
What are we adding to the ends of the words? I-N-G. Good job. So look became looking. Number 3. I'm going to let
Huge apologies. I'm not sure why our videos are upside down, but I still think you got the idea there that this young man there was such a huge shift in his personality and his ability to manage his own body. He was able to tell us when he needed his head squeezed. He was able to tell us when he needed a break. He was able to tell us when he needed something to eat. So that means that communication opened up a whole new avenue for him in accessing his curriculum, and accessing his family, and accessing the pieces that he needed.
And decreasing behavior.
Absolutely. We had no idea what we were missing out on.
No. Okay, so this next slide just shows some creative ways to teach vocabulary and review. We are not a sit and get type of instruction. Our kiddos have to go and show and learn. Like I said, we were utilizing limbo for the word under. So just really trying to think outside the box to engage our students with something that would be fun, but also ways to elicit the words that we're working on. So you can see, like, we have this rock climbing wall. We were working on up and down. We had the words posted, and they were also having to communicate if they wanted up or down, utilizing the parachute also with up and down. You can see up here we have the bowling, and then in the lower left-hand corner you can see where we were doing that Thanksgiving feast that I was talking about. And so the students made the food. They were able to be greeters, but then also our other staff members and our administrators were able to come in, and we had all the icons for the food, and we had devices set up so that they had to figure out what they wanted and to be able to communicate that using a device.
You know, Nicole hit on it earlier too, but inviting your administrators into your classroom is so nerve-wracking. I always wonder, is this going to be the time when my kids all misbehave? Is this going to be the time when I'm short on assistants? But all of those things are real-life things that really happen on multiple occasions, on multiple weeks. And if it happens, our administrators need to see it. It's okay. That's our job. Our administrators need to know what we are doing on a regular basis. So setting up those times to invite them in, once again, can't emphasize how important that is. And yes, it makes me uncomfortable, but it also makes me proud because I'm showing them, I'm leading them, teaching them what they need to know about our students. And that's part of my job too. So I am moving on to our next route info,
which is modeling. We need to continue to model and use that aided language input for our students, our families, peers, and staff. If they don't know what we expect of them and we don't model in the appropriate way, then we're not going to be able to have as much success for our students. But we also need to admit when we make a mistake and also tell them, you know what, it's okay. You know, we're learning this together, and we're a team. So be a public model for every part of the AAC.
Along with that modeling piece also comes the prompting hierarchy.
Absolutely.
Making sure that we are teaching that to our staff, as well as reminding ourselves that it's not all about grabbing fingers or grabbing hands, that sometimes that aided language simulation just means showing. And it might mean slowing down and showing, and it might mean having to gain that joint engagement or work towards that joint engagement so you can get that appropriateness there.
In the end of this amazing race, we are not the winners, but our students are the winners, because our students are now able to communicate. Their personalities have blossomed. There may have been some roadblocks and speed bumps along the way, but we just keep on racing, and our race never ends. We continue to set high expectations, and when we set those high expectations, you'll be amazed of what can happen with our students and your students. You can see here just in the middle, I love this one. We had the Black Ops come to our school, and Josie put on her device, I want on. And so when she did that, guess what? We were able to get her on to that Black Ops helicopter and get her picture, and it was priceless. So which amazing race team are you? So here are just some things that we went over. We went through reading and math. You can look at calendar time, snack, lunch, recess play, functional communication. Look at your entire day and figure out how you can incorporate AAC into these daily activities and that core vocabulary. So also training everyone, not just those working with the students. We've gotten peers and other staff members involved. and collecting data and is just the key to paving that way to a successful race and keeping you moving forward. So we have an amazing race challenge for you. Think about some ways that you can take some of this back to your school district or whatever setting you're in and figure out ways that you can incorporate these strategies into your student day-to-day activities. We just want to thank you. Like I said, I'm Nicole Wingate, the speech pathologist, and I'm here with Angie Sheets, the special education teacher. You can see here is our Wings Works YouTube link. And then we also are just started Speak Up Unlimited Possibilities. And so you can also contact us through Speak Up through email. Here's our Twitter handle. And we are available for presentations and training opportunities in person or through webinars. And then also our school website is also posted here. So.
And we will be back with AbleNet.
Yes.
I believe in a couple of weeks. If you check the calendar, we've got 2 upcoming presentations with AbleNet. So we would love to hear back from you. If you have any feedback for us or any questions, we would love to be in touch with you.